Z with Triple Z Resale. Today I'm doing the first episode of my Meet a Collector series. This is a series of videos I'm going to make over the next year where I talk to and interview different collectors and have them show off a few items from their collections. It's a great way to get to know about antiques, vintage things, as well as getting to know the interesting people in my life. So, starting off, I figured what better way to start this series than with my own dad. So we're going to go meet Luis Bautista, and he is going to show us some of his things. This is our historic family home here in the barrio, made out of adobe brick, built around 1920. Got to show respect for the saints. What's up, Dad?
Hey, we're here today at my house, the old adobe. It's over 100 years old. We're in the living room and we're going to show you some items out of my Native American indigenous collection today.
Awesome. You ready to make a YouTube video?
Yes.
It's going to be fun. Here we go.
Here we go. This is a Brazilian feather headdress from Brazil, and this would be a child's headdress. Now, the reason I'm showing this is that they're all macaw feathers. But this would be a commercial piece that you could buy down in Brazil at a government store where all Indian products are sold.
So this would be kind of like an export or a,
yeah, this
like
would be
a souvenir item.
That would be a souvenir item, correct? You know, when you go down there. Now this is not a commercial item. This is a ceremonial item, and it is a shaman's headband, still made with the macaw feathers. But obviously old, delicate. On the back you can see it's woven on this material which looks like burlap, and there's a little dust in there, and I've got to clean this out. With feather items you do have to put mothballs or something in there to be able to kill all the little bugs which eat up the feathers over a period of time. This headdress here, this headband, you know, is probably from the 1940s.
Okay.
Because that's what I was told. Now, what it's worth, I have no idea what this is worth, and you wouldn't sell a ceremonial item. You can only trade or give away ceremonial items.
Sure.
This you could sell for, I don't know what this would be worth, you know, $50. So,
all right, so can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So how do you distinguish the difference between these two items? I mean, like one is made for commercial use, one's made for ceremonial. What are kind of the characteristics of that?
Well, when you see the way this is made, this is a handmade item. This is all hand done on the back. You can see that this is not anything fancy. Somebody made this in a hut out there in the jungle somewhere, and they did a good job. Now, when you make a ceremonial item, every stitch or everything you do is a prayer, because you would be praying over it, because you know it's going to be used for
giving it
that
power as you make it. Yeah.
This doesn't have anything like that. This has got a regular string around it. It's got a basket that's a commercial basket you could buy anywhere down there to put feathers in. So this has nothing of what this would have. This has a very homemade, amateur look to it, which is how it's supposed to look for a traditional item. It's not supposed to look fancy, sharp, anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'd like to move over to this Huicholi egg. The Huicholis are a tribe up in the Sierra Madres in Mexico, and their sacrament is peyote. And they do a lot of traveling out of their body when they take their sacred medicine. And we used to sell these eggs in the store that we had, the brick and mortar store, and this egg would probably sell for maybe $20 or $30. Now, all these beads are put in there, and their thing is every bead is a prayer. So if this was a ceremonial item, every bead that was put in there would be a prayer. But the reason I kept this is because of the 3 dots on the front of the body. Now, the 3 dots represent the power areas of the body, and that is up here in the heart, up here in the solar plexus. This would be the power, and this would be your root chakra if you wanted to talk about chakra. But this has the 3 essential power points in the body, and you can see by the white around the whole body, it looks like it's glowing.
Right.
It's got an energy.
Yeah.
Because everything the Huicholes do when they're on their hallucinatory travels, they're journeying, they see everything in the world as alive. So the depiction of their art has to show that that this little man here, with his eyes wide open and with his 3 PowerPoints, is alive, and he's completely engaged with the world, just like a tree is completely alive, except we don't see it in their in the altered form of consciousness that the Huicholes do. So that's a Huichole egg, part of my collection, which I enjoy. And this is something I acquired from a trader who
Oh wow, I haven't
went
seen
to
that.
Mexico. This is a pre-Columbian piece, and I've had it looked at by 2 pre-Columbian dealers who told me that it was authentic. The beads are very, very old, and
All right,
so,
let me get a good close-up here. Wow,
Yes.
this is so beautiful.
yeah,
Very serious looking.
it's a very serious looking piece. It's a ceremonial piece, and
And are these jade or turquoise?
those are jade.
This is jade, okay.
Yeah. And it's very old. They
And the,
always
and the
stay
mask
cold.
is jade also.
Yeah, and they always stay cold. So let's flip it over.
Okay.
So then you can see the back part of it. And the back part is like an indentation. This has all been hand carved.
Yeah, I see. It looks really rough.
It's really rough. It looks like a pottery that's been made by hand. It definitely has a look on it, you know. Now, originally, it probably didn't have these beads attached to it, like with this string. That was done, you know, later on to be able to utilize it. The pendant would have had some other way of attaching the beads to it. Not that the beads wouldn't be attached to it. They wouldn't have used the string.
Yeah.
They'd have used maybe some parts off an animal, you know, some ligaments or things like that,
Sure.
to be able to string it. So anyway,
So when we were talking the other day, we were kind of talking about how like this piece isn't authenticated, even though you've talked to 2 different experts and
right. They said it would need a certificate of authenticity by a pre-Columbian dealer who is allowed to issue certificates of authenticity. I just never had it done.
Yeah.
It's real, and the people that looked at it basically said, "Yeah, that's pre-Columbian," and I was
So
telling
pre-Columbian meaning like before the 1400s, before
Correct.
the 1500s.
Yes, yeah, it's very old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, nice piece, Dad.
So that's
Beautiful.
that piece there, and then we're going to move on to some rattles because I like to collect rattles. Now, originally in the old days, they didn't make rattles. They made rattles out of gourds. This is a gourd that would have grown naturally out in the desert.
Oh, so the whole thing, the stem and everything is all
The
one
whole
gourd.
thing,
It's
this whole thing is one big gourd.
got it, rather than a handle with the gourd on top.
Right. And this was put together by a guy named Abe One Tree, a Yaka guy. He put a little cotton over here. This would be a ceremonial item, but he didn't make it as that. But it's a good example of what gourds used to look like. It still has the little flowers on top.
All right, let's get zoomed in here. Okay.
And then when you shake it, it's got this quiet sound. But if you look at the gourd, your hand fits right into this curve here, and here's where it's supposed to be held. And you would play it just like that. And then over a while, it would create this kind of hypnotic sound as you listen to the rattle. So this would be what a rattle used to look like, you know, a few hundred years ago.
Yeah.
This rattle here, I'm still repairing. This is an African rattle, and this has goat toes on it. That's what these little things are.
Really?
This is called a wake-up rattle.
All right, people, now you know goat toes, what they look like.
You hear this really loud sound? What a wake-up rattle does, it wakes up the spirits around a person's body. So they're waking up the spirits. Any spirits that are sleeping or, you know, dormant, it'll wake them up. And it actually has a handle. I've got to restrain the whole thing, but you know, you can tell by the sound that
Yeah.
it's loud.
Right here, let me have a look at this thing.
Okay.
Let's get it.
That's a piece of bamboo. That's the handle.
And so this is a commercial item, like this. This was made for
item,
resale.
I actually traded that for a peyote rattle that I had.
Okay.
That was gifted to me. The peyote rattle is a rattle that's used during a peyote ceremony, and even though this is a commercial item, it can still be used in the ceremony because it's got the right sound, it's got the right energy. And so let's see, this rattle here, this is a small rattle. This is called a sleep rattle. Now, if you listen to it, you can hardly hear it. You know?
Yeah.
And this puts the person to sleep. Somebody's anxious, you just have them listen to this. It sounds like a child's rattle, but it's called a sleep rattle. That's the official.
Is that a certain type of metal? Is it?
This is a T-ball.
Oh wow, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, Abe One Tree made this.
Got it.
Yeah, and what you do, you make rattles out of cans. You make rattles out of anything. You know, whatever available, you make a rattle out of it. You know, and depending what you put into it, Abe would go out to the desert and look for droppings from different animals out there in the desert. He'd pick the droppings up, and that's what he would put inside the rattle.
Okay, so a little dung rattle.
Little dung rattles, exactly. Yeah. This is another rattle that is just made from a tree bark, and but the gourd. This has a nice sound.
that's a good sound.
It's very alive, and rattles we use for healing because each rattle has a different vibration, and the medicine person using the rattle would put their thoughts into the rattle itself. So the rattle just became an extension of themselves, and it was just like they're working over the person with their hands, but they're doing it with the rattle. So the rattle is just an extension of the healer's hand, and the thought form and intention of the healer for whatever type of healing he's doing. And the rattle also can tell you where the blockages are in the body because you'll feel them coming through your hand. And so those are the rattles. This is the shaman's mask, the Huicholi egg, and the Pre-Columbian piece. And these are just a few pieces out of my collection that I wanted to share with you today.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, have fun.
All right.
Start collecting. You'll love it.